I rap, and that was a joke. It was a big fucking joke. Pause. I'm not gonna cry right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was a big joke.
To who?
To a lot of people.
The music, the money, the man is the men. At last, the honey, the baddest of 10. Why ask why? M-A-Y.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sammy's Place. I am Sammae. Today I want to talk a bit about female rapper Lady Mae. She's been one of my favorite rappers for the longest time. I'm still upset with what happened to her. The labels, they suck. They really fucked up. She really had the potential to be great in hip-hop and was headed that way, if you ask me. She could have been up there with like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown. She had her own identity, her own sound, and that's really hard to do in hip-hop, especially as a female rapper, to make your own lane. And labels, they do this shit all the fucking time. There's gonna be other stories that I tell you that are very similar to this. They just don't know what to do with the artist because they don't know the artist. I first discovered Lady Mae in the June 2002 issue of The Source. There was this ad promoting her debut album Mayday and her first single Roundup featuring Blue Contrail.
That's that country shit.
Yeah. Round up, yeah. You know what we came to do? Dance floor, bootylicious, party with May and Blue.
The fucking banjo, I don't know what it was. It did something for me. I never heard anything like it. Still to this day, never heard anything like it. So it was very different for me. And Blue's voice complemented the song perfectly. Lady Mae, given this is my first time listening to her, she really stood out to me. Her voice, her delivery, her wordplay. She really held herself down on that track. When you have a singer singing that much, majority of the song like that, but yet your vocals are everywhere and your presence is known, that's a big fucking thing. She was signed with D. Angeletti's label Crazy Cat. If you don't know who that is, he's produced major hits for like Diddy, Biggie, Lil' Kim, Mary J. Blige, like everybody, okay? They got a deal with Arista, which Reid was head of at the time. The album was supposed to come out, it's said spring 2002, but then it was pushed back to July. There was only a few songs available at the time. One song was Rob Jackson's Boom 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 that featured Lady Mae.
Hopping out mid-condition, expeditions with the both systems. Me and my vixens. Yeah, that's exactly how we enter the room. Kaboom, looking fine-tuned.
Rob Jackson was also signed with Arista at the time. Arista made this crew of new rappers they just put on called the Arista Cats, and Lady Mae and Rob Jackson were part of it.
Get your hands up! Get your hands up!
My persona, Dolce Gabbana in the whip with my chicks in a clip of marijuana.
The other track I came across was Dick and Dough. This was supposed to be the second single.
What bitches do for the dick and the dough. I know you know when it come to hoes. What we do for the dick and the dough. Whether friend or foe, right under your nose. There's rules to this shit. I want you to know. Rule one, don't brag around fake bitches about how good or big your man's dick is.
This was Lady Mae's take on Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments. There was a video for it apparently, but it never got released. So as I'm hearing more of Lady Mae, there was nothing I didn't like, which is rare. I started coming across these features and remixes she was on, like Pink's Get the Party Started.
My GV glasses, checking out his asses. From his cornrows to his Air Maxes. Before I lower my frames and bat my lashes. What's gotta know how it cashes.
The Donnell Jones Put Me Down remix featuring her and Styles P. But for whatever reason, she wasn't in the video.
Hanky, what did you ask me? Wanna do the Nancy in the back of your nappy?
She was featured on G-Dep's album, Child of the Ghetto, on a song called Smash on the First Night. You can also catch her in his video Special Delivery.
You want a what? You don't want a chick like me, you want a slut. Take me in the cut, let you put it in my butt. Till you bust a nut on my comforter.
Her and Foxy Brown were on Jenny's Get Into Something remix, produced by Marion Winans.
On Pirellis, on sellers, with no worries, me and my girlies. We get it drunk, gon' get drunk silly. LA to Philly, bag a big willy.
Now this was around the time Foxy was rolling with Bad Boy. So I'm guessing because of Lady Mae being with D-Dot and his connection to Bad Boy, she was working with a lot of Diddy's artists. There's supposedly a remix to Lady Mae's Glamorous Girls that features Foxy Brown.
Music thumping at the bar, clunking, jumping, humping, bumping.
Also, this one track I kept reading about in interviews called Concentration. These songs never leaked. Anyway, so the day comes. Lady Mae's album was supposed to come out. It didn't. I never experienced the pushback before, so I was confused by this. Like, why is this album not out? The cashier at the music store was just like, it says it's coming out in August now. For me, Roundup was huge, so I didn't understand how the album didn't get released yet. But later on, when I learned more about music and how it works, I learned its chart position, and yeah, it wasn't good. It peaked at number 93 on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs. So nobody liked it, apparently, but me. And later discovered Lady Mae didn't even like the fucking song herself. It was actually intended for Blue Contrail's Bittersweet album, who was also signed with Arista. Mae did a short verse on it, and the label wanted more of her on it, and then pinned it as Lady Mae's lead single. Being able to promote like both albums at the same time. Lady Mae said her and D-Dot originally wanted something more street and sexy for her album, but the label was pushing more for like club tracks. The album still didn't come out in August, and now this time there's no expected date, but she was later featured on Snoop Dogg's album Doggy Style All-Star Volume 1 on a track called Don't Fight the Feeling with Nate Dogg, Cameron, and Superfly.
I see the big picture, the big figures, big riches, 9 inches with a crew of jig bitches, half vicious, ambitious, mad riches, black sixes, cruise by with sacks dipping.
Lady Mae was able to get on anything to make it hot, whether it was West or East. You know, she always delivered, and she fit right in. Now I'm just waiting for anything, a single, a release date, something, anything. I started seeing her in a lot of urban magazines like Vibe, The Source, Black Men, and especially Black Hair magazines promoting the album Mayday. Freestyles from various mixtapes were coming out bit by bit, saying the album's coming, but still no album or single. All this is doing is creating even more of a hype for her album for me. I was very teased.
Hey yo, the goddess right here with the jump of the year, and a little something for the public to hear. Little flavor in your ear for a minute or two. Sit and listen to this real shit I'm spitting to you.
Eventually the album leaked. I was able to finally hear Mayday. There was not one bad song on that album. The album had production by some big names, Kanye West, Rock Wilder, Megahertz, and of course D-Dot, and a few others, I think. It featured artists Sherry Dennis, I think I'm saying that right, Memphis Bleak, and Diddy, again, bad boy artists. So many songs capable of being singles. From beginning to end, the album is a classic. Mae proved she was great, and she was really going to be big in hip-hop had she just had the proper machine behind her. That's all she needed. Labels just don't know what to do with the artist. They had some bangers on that fucking album, and they didn't push for another video or single. Dick and Dough was sick, yeah, but I mean, there's so many others on that album that could have been a second single. Mainly like What Up, featuring Diddy, produced by Rock Wilder.
Flashy like Kodak, throwback cognac, draw, I roll that, blow that, hold that.
Baby, what up,
Yeah.
we can do whatever now, you know what's up. Oh, sugar, up in the cut, we can do whatever now, what up, what up.
That song needed to be a single. With the proper video and because of the sound at the time, it would have done well. Rock Wilder had some hits back then. This could have been Mae's big hit, especially having Diddy on it. Labels make the worst choices in singles a lot of the time. And then there was Word on the Street.
Must be the mocha, I'm mixing my chocha. That got niggas going la vida loca.
Word on the street is me is hot now. Word on the street is
I got your spot now.
Word on the street is I got y'all bitches pissing. Used to be a fan, now I'm competition.
When I first heard Word on the Street, it's like a punch to the fucking face. Lyrically, Lady Mae is saying that like she's now competition. I love that. That was my fucking favorite thing. What I loved about the album was the variety in it. It offered a lot of different sounds that flowed really well into each other. Lady Mae was more than just a hot club track. I got to hear a different side of her on that album, a more personal side on tracks like one of my favorites, My Blues.
I know what going low is, I know what broke is, I know where the end of my rope is. And when it rains, it pours for shows. Look around, not one umbrella to hold.
On here, she gets really personal. She gets deep, talks about her struggles, things she wants, and trying to make it in life. Another one that displays her storytelling skills is Unborn. This song's about having an abortion.
I should've crashed on the parkway in the Lex, thinking about his first words and his first steps. Go to college, big dreams, how can I? Strong enough am I?
So the fact that she was so ballsy enough to touch on that made me respect Lady Mae a lot. As a writer, a real artist, she was way more than just a rapper. She spoke about real shit, and she created movies with her stories and her songs. And the bangers went really hard, yo. Like 8 million stories. That fucking every time that song comes on, yo, I gotta turn it the fuck up.
It was crazy the way the whole shit went down. Kinda hard to recall cause I'm bent right now. Was a few years ago, I don't know, maybe sooner. Somebody in the Bronx has started this ill rumor.
Like, she just goes hard on that one. The beat is insane too. The whole fucking song is nuts. Having this album now Show Me may deserve to be up there with Kim and Foxy. The album unfortunately never came out, and back then the internet wasn't like today, so we didn't have social media, and we didn't have all this thing that can connect with other artists and to know what's going on. So I knew nothing of what was going on. And February 2003 came, I got some freestyle of hers one morning, announcing her seven or 8 page lingerie spread in the Source magazine. I actually skipped school that day to go get it, and this said something to me. This said the album is still coming. Even though it was like due in August, it's now February 2003. It felt like this album was actually still coming still. But it didn't. Later in May 2003, Lady Mae appeared on a track called 7 Deadly Sins with other female rappers like Vita, Angie Martinez, Remy Ma, Amil, and a few others. This was off DJ K Slay's album, The Street Sweeper Volume 1.
Catch me in the Benz with a blue halogen, doing a $110 on the major D-gen. Pager beep and more cash to get. May is all about the chips on some savage shit.
Last song I ever heard of Lady Mae was on Willa Ford's A Toast to Men, which, yeah, wasn't exactly great, but I mean, Lady Mae killed her parts.
I've been with boys with baldies, boys with hair curly, boys in their 30s, boys that ain't worthy, boys I fell for and slept with too early, boys with dicks straight, boys with dicks curvy.
She seemed to be going by the name of Mae then. She did a few movies, Annie Be Real and Up Against the 8 Ball. She has some rated credits on a few tracks for J-Lo's 2007 album, Brave, and then that was it. There's been no word of Lady Mae since. I had no idea what happened to her album or what happened with Reid, Arista, whatever. Obviously, she got dropped at one point, but I didn't know when or how or why. It actually wasn't until recently, like I think 2019, 2020, when an interview she did with Choke, and I think this was like from like 2004, and she explains a lot of her journey and what happened. A lot of shit I didn't know. So she gets into detail how she left home at 15. She's from Long Island. She started as a backup dancer for Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, and Jodeci, like a few others. And she was in a Rap Must commercial.
Oh yeah, girl! Gonna tell you about a fresh new spray that's gonna bust. And girlfriend, the name of this game is Rap Must.
She got into a few groups, but they never worked out. She met D-Dot. She was then known as Mae West.
Love or hater, Mae West is paper. Doc called me up from the minors to the majors. Handle my biz, now bitches call vapors. Close to my enemies, eyes on my neighbors.
She was in a group called Desert Rose, and that was with Swiss Beats' ex-baby mama, R&B singer Mashonda.
I don't like when my pockets hollow. Mae West, fly bitch with the Ferragamo. Write checks today, write checks tomorrow. I don't like own none, I don't like to borrow.
They were signed with Crazy Cat, and they were featured on a few of D-Dot's mixtapes. Lady Mae explained she didn't want to be in any more groups at that time. She said it would always fuck up, and she expressed this concern to Mashonda, but decided for whatever reason to give it a go, and they landed a deal with Columbia. But then Mashonda fucked off with Swiss because he was making bigger moves at the time, and that left Lady Mae in a contract with Columbia for 6 months that she was trying to get out of. And then she told D-Dot she wants to do this solo. A lot of people were telling her she can't do it. She's too pretty to rap. She looks like an R&B singer. You know, here Lady Mae has this voice for rap. It sounds deep, and it has this force behind it, but then she looks like a model. She's sexy as fuck. You think this would be the idea for what's marketable, but apparently not.
Call me TD, pussy got him running back. 30 deep Pronto, Terrell Davis Bronco. Every street, avenue, boulevard, and block nose. T's always get crossed, eyes always dot those.
You know, she said it was hard for her to be taken seriously as a rapper.
You're gonna do that rap thing. It was always like, Mae, come on, why are you rapping? You're too cute to rap. And that's a statement that I don't understand. What the fuck you want me to look like, a fucking mompy? Like, I gotta look like a mompy to fucking rap.
Men would often laugh at her. She also said that, you know, the way men make deals, many times she's been offered deals in very sleazy ways, let's say. So I could just imagine the type of bullshit she had to deal with, just being a woman in hip-hop. D-Dot, though, he said he's down and he believed in her. So she said they landed a deal with Arista. And the thing with Arista and like L.A. Reid is that Lady Mae suspected that her deal with Arista was made through relationships with D-Dot more so than the label or L.A. Reid actually believing in her. So that's where she feels like they kind of just didn't give a fuck about her. She went on to saying her and D-Dot recorded a lot of material, made a lot of albums. So D-Dot has all this, I believe, hopefully. And hopefully one day he releases it for us, all this Lady Mae music. And then I learned what happened with her album. She said since the single Roundup flop, there was nothing, no plan of action from the label, so she went out and made these things happen herself. She met the DJs to be featured on their mixtapes. She got into all these magazines and those features, remixes, and everything. She did that herself. So the source spread was getting her recognition finally. She said people were starting to notice her on the streets, and there she was in front of L.A. Reid while he's flipping through the spread and telling her, this isn't gonna work. And he's just telling him, like, what are you talking about? We got like 8 pages in the magazine and stuff. Like, we need to drop a single, a video of the album. Like, he said, no, I want you to be my Missy. You're coming off too hardcore. And he dropped it from Arista. And Mayday, the album, was shelved. So she was pissed off about that. Obviously, I'd be fucking pissed off as shit too. I mean, I feel for Lady Mae. Because can you imagine leaving home at 15, bouncing from deal to deal with groups, sleeping at bus stations and shit, finally landing that solo spot, and then going as far as it takes to put out an album, doing everything right, everything you need to do to put out an album, but the only thing fucking up is your label. They're not making any movement to release the album. I can imagine what that does to your self-esteem. You're probably really thinking twice about this shit, and you're discouraged as fuck. I'm not the only one who knows she could have been big in hip-hop. Still to this day, she's being brought up time to time, but no one knows where the fuck she is. She has no social media. D-Dot doesn't even know where she is, apparently. L.A. Reid fucked that up big time. Lady Mae had so much potential. She had a lot of bangers on her album that could have been singles.
You know I can be offensive, you know I get defensive, you know I'm superficial and my taste is expensive. I know you do things for me you normally wouldn't. Do it anyway, even if I tell you you shouldn't.
And what she added to other people's songs with the verses and as a featured artist, not a lot of people can do that. Keep my attention and want more and more. Everything she touched was fire, yo. I have never heard one bad song or verse from Lady Mae. Even to this day, randomly coming across stuff I've never heard or seen, I still get as excited as I did when I was 13. And Lady Mae still never disappoints.
15 I'm running, wanted to establish a name. I came in the game dancing for Big Daddy Kane. In videos I wanted more than 2 minutes of fame. Wanted the same, wanted plaques on my walls in a frame.
So back to Arista and L.A. Reid, I forgot to mention this part. When Lady Mae, this is the thing that fucking irks me the most, okay? This pisses me off because he was aware. When Lady Mae went to go meet with Arista and the suits of Arista, including L.A. Reid, she literally wore a sheer dress. So, and nothing but a fucking thong, that's all you saw, titties and all, nipples and shit. She said herself she was desperate, and you kind of do these things when you're desperate. But she was also very vocal about how she uses sex to sell. Well, because she was sexy as shit. So obviously you're going to use that to your advantage, right? And most labels, they were trying to turn every girl into some sort of fucking sex object anyway. So what the fuck was the issue? That was my thing. And then he has an issue with this fucking 7 or 8 page spread of her in lingerie. Like, fuck off. So after she was let go from Arista, her contract with D-Dot was up too. She thought, should she stay with D-Dot or go elsewhere? She was with him for 5 years, had many doors closed in her face and shit. So, it's only natural for her to feel she wanted to do something new. So they parted ways. I could be wrong because I don't know exactly everything that happened. There's probably way more to the story and shit. But I feel like if she stayed with him, it would have worked out somewhere. He's connected to Bad Boy, so having that relationship could have gotten Lady Mae like somewhere. I'm actually surprised she never signed with Bad Boy. Not sure that would have been good though, because Bad Boy has his rep. But regardless, I feel she really could have been big had she continued with D-Dot. They complemented each other's sounds so well. I've never heard anyone like Lady Mae ever. Although the album never got properly released, it's still a major classic to me in hip hop. I still listen to it to this day. Even her other stuff, the features, remixes, freestyles, all that shit. Lady Mae was smart. She was no dumb bitch. Like, you listen to her music and she gives really good advice. There's times in life where things happen and I think back to like lyrics that she said, and then it's like, yo, she's fucking right. She's not just spitting shit and facts. Like, she's giving you good fucking advice in life. Lady Mae is huge to me. And for those who know her music, understand me. They feel the frustration. She deserved so much more. And all she needed was the right label behind her. I just want to know where she is. Where is Lady Mae? There's so many of us who want to connect with her, show our appreciation for her and her music. Her music's been such a huge part to the soundtrack of my life. She's been a huge influence on me as a writer, as a rapper. Yeah, she's a female, I don't give a fuck. There's nobody like Lady Mae, okay? I just hope she's well. She's enjoying life like she wanted. So before I sign off, D-Dot recently released another version of her album Mayday on his Bandcamp. I will leave a link in the description. It includes different track listing with interludes and other songs that weren't on the leaked version from 2002. So support and let's get D-Dot to release more of her music because there's apparently a lot more we haven't heard.
So you knew you wanted to do this all your life?
Yeah, for a minute. I knew I wanted to write and, get into that thing. And Derek thought I had a great rap voice, and we took it from there.
Okay, give me some influences. Who inspired you?
Salt and Pepper, all the women in hip-hop, really, because it's a hard game for women to get into the game and do their thing. So,